Good morning, world. You're here with Shea in the morning. And for those of you who've never tuned in before, which at the time of this recording should be just about everybody, I'd like to welcome you. This show was inspired by a fictional radio show from an old television program called Northern Exposure. And for those of you who have never seen it, I would advise that you go do so post-haste. It is perhaps one of the best shows ever made, and that could be proved scientifically if anyone ever cared to do so. Where was I? Oh yes. The main theme here that I'm trying to get at is that in this small town, this radio show connected everyone. It brought people together, created a forum to talk about the business of the community, and gave the people a few common subjects to discuss. With the internet in today's world, I suppose that we're all far more connected than we have ever been, but still I find myself desiring more than cat videos and documentaries about sloths to bind myself with the people around me. And even then it seems like there are differing levels of what really constitute a meaningful community. Personally, I think we underestimate the importance of community. Being in the company of those you consider family, friends, people more than just an acquaintance is a truly magical thing. There's a power we don't fully understand. More and more, scientists are realizing the power of happiness as it affects health and wellness. Take the city of Roseto in Pennsylvania, a town whose people emigrated from the heart of Italy, a town which became famous for the incredibly low rates of heart attack. All the tests on diets, lifestyle, exercise, and even genetics couldn't explain it. They pretty much behaved like the rest of the country. However, when they started looking at the community, things started to change. They realized the people here were always together. They always had some place to be. As an example, no one ate alone unless they wanted to. There was an abundance of laughter, of sharing, and happiness. And that was the only thing that really seemed to stand out. That in this town, the people spent time together. They laughed and joked and enjoyed one another's company. And that did something to the general health of the entire community. In today's world, more and more we're finding that there is a power in intention, in thoughts, whether positive or negative. Now, that's a pretty trippy idea, my friends, that our minds, our attitudes can influence the world around us. Not just how we see it, but the reality itself can be made different by how we think about it. It's powerful stuff. As for me, I find that having those people around me who inspire me, who fill me with a soothing peace and take the general anxiety out of the world, well, that's a huge piece for me in having good thoughts. We can all do our art, our work, sustain ourselves in a self-made vacuum of delivered goods and digital connection. But there's no real substitute for that genuine embrace from a good friend or that person you love. There's some type of filling quality that in that touch with other people that's irreplaceable in the world of instant access. As our lives become more isolated, as we replace friends with smartphones and Facebook pages, play video games instead of sports, and order takeout instead of prepare meals with those close to us, I think it's important to remember the power of community, being with those of like mind and those who share your beliefs. That may be the most important thing to happiness, to my mind. Money can't buy friends, only good actors. So take a moment today, friends. Think about where your happiness lies, even if it's with yourself. It just came to me that I think I remembered where I was most happy, and where that was. But as that thought comes at this moment, finding myself in love with a warm and beautiful woman in the Red Rock town of Sedona, I think I'm going to have to change my mind. I like it here. It feels better here than it has in most other places I've ever been. At some point, I'm going to have to figure out the rules about YouTube and where and when I can play songs and how that whole thing ties in with legality, but for right now, I'll stay away from putting songs up after this, but I've got a good one in mind, and when the time's right, I'll share it. It's a song that makes me think of youth and where we were and where we're going. For you, my friends, so until next time, it's been a pleasure being with you.
All once we were dreamers on the rise, we were the sun, where the sun never shines, and we were gold, where the night bird only flies. Oh, that's a long time, you know, for that kind of wind to blow. A long time ago, we were dreamers on the rise. And twice, oh, we said we'd begin again, and we made a vow that we'd remain as friends and fallen down. We said we shall rise again. Oh, that's a long time, you know, for that kind of wind to blow. A long time ago, we were dreamers on the mend. A long time ago, we were dreamers on the mend. And if three wishes came into my life, I'd say one was to gaze into your eyes, and I'd say two would be turning back our lives. Three's a long way to go for that kind of wind to blow. A long time ago, we were dreamers on the rise. A long time ago, we were dreamers on the rise. A long time ago, we were dreamers on the rise.
So that was Dreamers on the Rise by Jon Stewart. One of my personal favorite songs, and one of my dad's personal favorite songs. He died about a month ago, and I was thinking about all the things that he and my mom were wanting to do in life, all the things they'd planned for themselves that they aren't going to get to do now. And I was remembering how long ago I wanted to make a radio show, or do a podcast, or write my books, make audio books, do something along those lines, and how I hadn't done it, and it seemed like the time. That song makes me think of being young and starting over, and also being in love. Probably, for me, the three most important things in my life as far as becoming a man and becoming an adult. Being able to start over, being able to get up, and no matter what time it is, being able to fall in love. I think that experience with my dad, getting divorced recently in the past year, those experiences coupled with traveling around and transitioning to new cities, new states, eventually settling in Sedona to go to school, really highlighted the importance of community to me. Because as sad as I get sometimes, as down as I get, as low as I get in my heart, during those rainy days and those quiet times, I'm able to be thankful for the people in my life that I love and that I care about. The people that I can call, who remind me of who I am and where I come from, and that they actually like me. And how grateful I am to have all of them in my life, to have that community. When I was younger, like many people I suspect, I felt pretty alone. Not absence of people alone, but that kind of spiritual solitude that makes you stare into a room full of people and feel sad. The philosophical term is qualia. It's a term used to describe an accessible feeling that is like something else that someone else can relate to. That's probably the purpose behind metaphors, I think, to give people stories and examples to help them figure out what the hell you're feeling. But that term about being alone in a room full of people I've always found very poignant. And I've met a lot of people that feel that same way. Growing up, I felt pretty isolated, and I didn't feel connected with the kids in my neighborhood. I'm not sure why. Is it pompous to say I have an old soul? Maybe. But it's the truth. I think I was 20 years old before I felt like I found my first friend and soulmate. It was like the world was a different place. I could experience and see beauty in a way I hadn't been able to before. I felt deeply with another, to the core of my being and theirs. I was learning how to be a person still, though, and figuring out how to be okay with myself. There was a lot of healing to do. Long story short, I fucked up that situation pretty bad and lost the only person outside my family I'd ever loved. I think that experience, coupled with my isolation for most of my early life, created in me a fear, neuroses even, of losing the people I care about most. Not the good friends or the safe friends, even family members, but the ones that I find in the world, the ones not tied by blood but by spirit, or the one I really want, the one that I would really love. In the quiet times of inactivity and relaxing, reposing, or relaxed repose, I find myself thinking and dreaming, obsessing over actions and words, trying to secure a future that hasn't been written yet. It's heart-wrenching for me, knowing it won't make a difference. But the pain of the past and those habits are strong, and I'm compelled to focus and try and know the unknown, to make this present moment safe. By having all that I care about fortified and locked away in absolute certainty. But that's no way to live. Life is an unknown, and we can do our best to be and think and see what we want, but chances are chaos and chance are real things. We can't have everything we want. I feel like that community aspect comes back here. Bad things happen or good things happen, and we think they're bad, and it crushes us for a time. How can I get up after this, one might think. That's when having that family becomes important. Having those friends, those activities, hobbies, those people you can hold on to while you figure out how to stand again. I needed that in my life for a long time and didn't know how to find it or create it. Having people who can hold your thoughts for you, your heart, your body, while you grieve is so important. Without that, you can sink into a lifestyle of misery and pain, unable to see the world any different. I was almost there. I was there for a long time, though, before I escaped. It took someone I love reaching out and helping me to heal. And it took 10 years for that to happen. For that person to reach out. And 10 years is a long time to be sad and feel no hope. If you know someone who's hurting, reach out. Sometimes it just takes a weekend of hugs and talking. And then they're strong enough to walk down the path again. It could take a kind word or a phone call or a letter. Just something to let them see beauty in the world. Or feel hope that there can be good times again.